All right, so today we're going to take a look at repairing a flat tire. A lot of people would just go buy a new tube, but it's pretty inexpensive to fix and easy. First thing we're going to do is flip this bike upside down, take off those nuts so that we can get the tire off. All right, so now that you've got it upside down, go ahead and get a couple wrenches that will fit, and you twist them the opposite direction. And it's lefty-loosey. Once you loosen it up enough, you can take the wrenches off.
Show these if you want.
On this particular bike, there's a locking washer. So you do have to take the nut completely off so that you have access to remove this washer. And then once you've removed that, the tire will pop off. You just have to get it by the bricks. So now what you're going to want to do is use a couple of specialty tools. They're pretty cheap to get that tire off. I avoid using flathead screwdrivers just because if you're going to replace the tube inside, you don't want to risk puncturing any more than is already in the tire. So what you do is you get a set of tire irons. You get 3 in a package, and usually they come with a tire repair kit. But if you take a close look at it, it's got a little bit of an angle at the end there that you're going to stick up under the rubber of this tire and pry it over the rim. That's so easy, even a 14-year-old can do it. Now once you've done that, one thing you didn't really see there was you pried it up over the rim. On the other end of your tire iron is a hook, and you want to hook that onto a spoke so that it stays in place. And you're just going to work each of these tire irons. You can actually pick another spot down the ways a little bit. The more the rubber gets bent over the rim, the tighter this gets. And so you want to make sure that you're using these tire irons to make your job a little bit easier. It gives you the leverage. Yep, slide it down. Close. You get it. If you can't quite get it to the one, well, there you go. You slid it. Now you hook it onto the spoke. And then you just keep working it around until you get to the point where the one side, the one wall of the rubber is over the rim, and then it's much easier to get the rest of the tire off. Alright, so we got the whole sidewall over the rim, so you just take your tire irons out, and then you can just pull the rest of the tire off. Now the one thing with the tube is you're going to have one spot where the Schrader valve is, so you're just going to want to pull that out of the Schrader valve hole there that's in the rim. So once we get this tube out, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to quickly identify where there's a leak and how to fix that. Alright, so we filled up a bucket with water, and if you just take a bike pump and submerge sections, you find the leak pretty quick.
Right there. Oh, wait.
So just keep submerging it till you actually find where it's broken.
There's 2 holes.
It'll bubble a little bit.
There's one right there.
Looks like there might be a couple holes.
There's one right there.
We're going to show you how you patch them up.
Okay, so right.
Okay, so we've identified it's actually a little small tear there. And what we're going to do, we're going to try a couple of different types of patches. So this one just requires you to kind of buff up the surface a little bit and put some scratches in that rubber. Okay, so these are called glueless patches. I've used them once before. We're going to go ahead and try this on that buffed area. You want to make sure your surface is nice and dry. We've actually identified about 4 holes. So we're going to try patching each one of them. Alright, so in the end we actually ran into a problem with the old tube. If you have 1 or maybe 2 holes to patch up, that system would work. But we ended up having to go and buy a new one just because there were actually about half a dozen holes, and it's really not worth it at that point. So you might as well just buy a new tube, about $4. And before you put it back on the rim, you want to unscrew the valve cover and put the tire back on just like you took it off. Okay, one other thing that I forgot to mention, since there were so many holes in that tube, before I put the new tube in and inflated it, I did a quick inspection of the entire tube. Not just on the outside looking for any, pieces of metal or anything like that, but I also ran my fingers on the inside of the tube to see if there was any sharp objects that might have caused the problem. But inflated this tire and it's holding air, so I think we're good to go. Go ahead and put it back on. The bike, we're also going to have to make some adjustments to the brakes on here. The brake pads aren't quite lining up with the rim. Then we should be good to go. If this video was helpful, like and subscribe.